Playing out of Sure Hope and Desperation Country Club.
Oh yeah, stay out of the bunker. Come on, easy.
That's a beauty. Oh!
Hey, that was...
People ask me, well, how'd you get the name Wedgy? Because originally my name was Larry, so it's Larry Wedgy Winchester, basically. When I played the tour, they had, in the olden days, they had about 30 spots on Mondays. And that was like you called it a rabbit. You're called a rabbit to play in them. I could hit the ball quite a ways, but I had bad wedge player. Some of the guys that I played with in practice rounds, when we chose up sides, they'd say, okay, we'll take the wedge. You know, they would call me the wedge. So when I started doing my trick shot shows and everything, I put a Y on the end of it and made it Wedgy. So I've had that ever since. I'm originally from Ogden, Utah. My dad ended up leasing a driving range. And so I took up golf when I was about 13 or 14 years old and started hitting golf balls. And we had night lights. So, so I'd hit balls at night, and pretty soon I got just kind of goofing around with them, standing backwards, hitting balls, and hitting with one hand, hitting them left-handed, all that stuff. Then I saw a trick shot guy, and I said, geez, I can do all that. So then I went back to the drive range and started putting clubs together and making rubber hoses and all kinds of different things. One thing led to another, and people wanted to see my shots, and so I kind of put a show together myself. And then one thing led to another, and I started doing the shows. I think this was a air hose of some kind. We got two-headed iron. People thought this was a Medicus, but this was way before the Medicus was even thought of. This is very difficult to hit, but I can do it. I did a show for Karsten and Louise. Flew down to Arizona, did the show. Then Karsten said, well, we can't use you right now, but maybe later on we can use you. I wanted to play the New Zealand tour, and I had played it once before. I wanted to play it again. Well, this time they actually had New Zealand and Australian tour at the same time. So I called Karsten up, and I said, and actually he answered the phone. It was not a secretary or anything. He answered the phone. So I said, I told him about the tournaments, and he said, well, yeah, okay. I told him how much it was and everything. He said, well, let's fly you down and get you equipment and everything like that, and go over and play. So I did. And then I kind of stayed over for quite a while. And I married a gal over there that I met in Perth, West Australia. Then we got married in New Zealand, and so on and so forth. Well, I got a letter from him, and he said, I can use you in '79. So we flew back in '79, and it's kind of been history ever since. I did trick shot exhibitions. Actually, I did the shows on the tour. Byron Nelson, the different ones, and I did that on Tuesdays because that was junior golf day. The long drive happened in right around 1983. I was doing a show back in Binghamton, and there was about 15,000 people watching. And I hit some pretty good shots with my 7-footer. I had a 7-foot driver then too. So we decided to measure some of the drives, and they were well over 300 yards. The guy by the name of Dave Geiger, who was the assistant pro there, he says, "Why don't you try and get in the long drive?" So I called up Joe Black, and Joe Black was head of the PGA at the time. And he said, "There's no restriction on the length of a golf club as long as it's one piece, no movable parts." So when I got back to Ping, I called up Aldala Company, and they were sending me shafts that were 5 foot long. Well, it turned out they were cross-country ski poles. They weren't even golf shafts. And so I didn't know this till after I won the long drive. And I saw Kim Carpenter, who was head of Aldala Company at the time, and he said, "Yeah, Wedgy, we didn't have golf shafts back then that long, so we had to send you cross-country ski poles." And so I got lucky and won the National Long Drive in 1984. Well, this golf club here is the same length as that I used to win the championship with. This is 60 inches long. What I won with was an actual I2 head, which was laminated maple from Rice Lake, Wisconsin. And then it had, of course, the cross-country ski pole shaft, and that's what I won it with. My wife, Allison, she said she didn't really like the hot weather that much, and she wanted a bed and breakfast, and so we ended up moving to Seaside, Oregon, and we bought a bed and breakfast and had that for about 17 years. And now I just play golf here at the beautiful Gearhart Golf Course, where, incidentally, they're going to hold the 2021 National Hickory Open right here. I'm going to play in it. I'm a super senior in that, so I plan on winning it. But those guys are good. They're good, so I've got to do a lot of practice. I've been practicing now for 2.5 months, and I've only got 46 weeks to go.
Guy that's still getting ready for his next tournament. It's inspiring. What is it about golf?
Because I worked at Ping, I met so many athletes, and because I did shows at outings and things like that, I met so many celebrities. This is the only sport that you can't conquer. You can play the best golf you've ever played in your life, come out the next day and go, "Well, what was I doing yesterday?" You know, that was so good. I got to play with Mo, and that was one of my thrills. Besides playing with Arnold Palmer, I played with Mo Norman. We did an exhibition in Canada, and he would hit 4 balls to my 1. He put them all in the same spot, and he just swung the same way every time, and it was rhythm. It was not hitting it hard. It was just there every time, same thing, and it was just great to watch. I've met guys out here when I first got out here in their 90s playing. It's just great. And look at how many great people you meet. You can go all over the world like I did. I couldn't understand the language, but I could understand them because they were golfers.